Hello, everyone. This is Chad Hill, and I also have Adam Stetzer on the phone.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome.
Today, we are here and excited to talk about our new email marketing product and enhancements to the screens and services that we've had for the better part of this year. But we've made some significant enhancements, and we really are excited, like we talked about last time, to share them with you. So I'm going to let Adam.
I kind of call it on the blog sort of the relaunch of our email product.
Good. Yes, exactly. The relaunch. So I'm going to let Adam go through the meeting formalities here, and then we'll get started.
Well, sure. If you're new to our webinar series, you should notice a chat window and a question window that you can use to communicate with me. I work the questions while Chad's walking through the slides of the demo, and pass those up to him. So don't be shy. We'd love to have your questions, and of course we always have a lively discussion.
Okay, great. Well, the first slide that I have here is basically why email. And email has been around. It's one of the sort of the longer reigning arrows we have in our quiver for online marketing. But it's such a great way to nurture new and existing contacts. And in many businesses, especially those who deal with clients who repurchase, it's typically their lowest cost of getting new revenue. And I think in our businesses where we are working with clients, there are certainly times, and we've seen it pretty much every month, where when we're talking about a new part of online marketing, whether that be social media or whether that's local map optimization, whatever it might be, we typically, when we send out a newsletter to our clients, we get somebody who emails back and says, hey, I've been thinking about that and I'm interested. So it's just a great way of nurturing new and existing contacts, and it's really cheap. And we're here today to make it even cheaper for you. The other thing in terms of why HubShout, and we've talked about, many people have in the past said, well, why not use another platform and integrate? We've always really been, we've always envisioned the HubShout platform as being a place where, as we drive traffic to the website and they fill out lead forms, hence some of our sales management, our sales features that we've built into the dashboard, we'd like to be able to take that same information and use it to continue to nurture and build to build relationships and get people to convert to being clients. And of course, at the end of the month, we want to be able to report all that activity in a consolidated way where we actually have the full picture in terms of where the person came from, they signed up on the website, and then what happened and how many emails we sent out going forward. So we really see our product here as being great because we're able to consolidate all the information in one report. And then, of course, for all of you, this is now a service that you can go out and sell to your clients and put in front of them saying, hey, I have a product, an email marketing product, and it has my brand on it. It's rated by all the other services I offer. You don't have to log in somewhere else or use someone else's service and have someone else be marketing to your clients because they are signing up for a third-party service. So we put it in here. It's all part of your private labeled dashboard.
And I'm really excited about that last point, Chad. I mean, the folks in this call basically can go out and basically have their own MailChimp Lite right in their consolidated product. So I think that's really cool.
Great. So before we dive into we've got a lot of new features, but I wanted just to kind of walk through the 5 main points here that we've added into the email product and relaunched, and then we'll talk about each one as we go through and do some demos. So the first one really is kind of how we got this whole relaunch going, which was we wanted a more sort of robust. We wanted to work on deliverability. We didn't think our deliverability was bad, but we also had some clients requesting higher volumes and list quality. We didn't really have a good way of vouching for whether or not one client's list was good, another client's list was bad, and we didn't like the idea that if someone as a family of people sharing sort of a common platform, if one person's client or person sent out a list that was getting flagged as with spam flags or some other way of getting sort of black marks on it, we didn't want that to hurt people who were sending out high quality lists that really were their true clients and people wanting those emails. So we did a lot of research, and we realized that Amazon had launched its own cloud email service called SES. Now, this is very much for the non-techies here, like me, and I think like a lot of you. This is something that a mere mortal really can't easily access, because it requires that everything you do with Amazon's SES platform be through APIs. So what we decided would be really interesting is to take our front end and then hook it up to Amazon's deliverability and deliverability and scale that they can bring to the service, and kind of get a best of both worlds. So that's what we did. We essentially, every reseller, or if you want to go down to your client level, can have their own key that hooks up to an Amazon Web Services account. And what that lets you do is basically then send emails and build your own reputation, so you have no risk of someone else tarnishing that reputation. And then Amazon's job is, given that they're operating such scale, they can have the teams on their side that are out building the relationships with the different ISPs to make sure that their email coming through the Amazon SES platform is getting through all of the gatekeepers and getting delivered to the clients. So again, we think this is a win-win just on the deliverability side. And then to go a step further, of course, this comes at just an awesome price. They're basically sending these out at a fraction of a cent, 0.00, a tenth of a cent basically, so 10 cents per 1,000 emails. And if you compare that to pretty much anybody else out there, that's as low as you're going to see. And we are not marking that up at all, so anyone who has a reporting or ongoing service with us has access to the email feature. All they have to do is sign up with Amazon, and the account managers can kind of walk you through that process. We have some documentation, and I'll show a couple of the screens, but it's relatively easy to sign up and get running pretty quickly. The next thing that we did is we've built an email editor that is MailChimp compatible. And the reason we did this is we looked around, and there was actually a decent market out there for MailChimp ready templates, premium MailChimp ready templates. And then we looked at what makes a MailChimp a template MailChimp ready, and MailChimp has created its own markup language that allows someone to code a regular email template and then go in and add special tags to the template so that it's then editable through a nice WYSIWYG editor, which we're gonna talk about and show and demo today. But we think that this is a great solution because it gives you the really nice high-end templates, and at the same time makes them very easy to edit. So to get everyone started, we actually went out and have purchased a nice assortment of high-impact templates. So these can be used for simple communications like the one we're gonna go through today. But we also have some pretty nice templates that if you wanted to have featured product shots for a retail client or for your own marketing, some really nicely formatted emails. We also, just to get everyone to sort of buy into what we're doing, we've written 10 autoresponder templates that we think everyone out there should set up and start using with their prospects. Again, we're seeing that when we continue our drip programs, and I know a lot of you get our emails, but we are getting people who talked to us 3 or 4 months ago, didn't decide to work with us now, but as they hear that we're doing new things and trying different stuff, they're picking up the phone or their email is back saying, hey, I'd like to learn more about that product. So we've taken 10, we've written 10 autoresponders for you, and your account manager can help you set those up, get your Amazon key set up, work with you to come up with a template that works, and then actually help you set up those autoresponders so that all you have to do is either drop a lead form on your website, or as you meet people and get their business card, come and drop their email address into your list, to the list you set up, and away you go. You've got sort of a backup sales team who's sitting there helping you close business.
Chad, we should probably emphasize we're doing this at no cost. I mean, this is part of our commitment to help you sell. It's part of what we see as our role in this partnership. So we've drafted these, as Chad said, and your account manager will help you get them into a template of your picking. Again, all no cost. I mean, part of the reason we're making this investment is we know if you use the product for yourself, you're more likely to become familiar with it, be good at training it, and sell it. So we see this as a win-win for everybody, and we're kicking the ball off, with some of the labor to get that started.
So the another feature we've added here is we built a white labeled unsubscriber service. So instead of the way we were doing it before, which was kind of the old-fashioned way, please reply and we'll remove you from your list, we now have a simple one-click form that will launch and allow someone to quickly unsubscribe from the list. So again, that just makes it easier, and of course, people. We were technically, by saying please reply and we'll remove you from your list, you're compliant with canned spam, but this makes it just one step easier. So the final one is the ability to add new email addresses from two different sources. The first thing, and we'll demo this, is actually we've built a little add me to my newsletter form that you could place on your website and have people sign up for a newsletter right from your website. That then goes directly to your list in your portal, and then you can have email autoresponders set up to start going out from there. The other thing we've done is we've had the web to lead feature, and we're calling that, by the way, web to list. So just taking it simply from the website directly to an email list. That's web to list. We have another feature that is part of our sales functionality, which is for sort of a more serious person who's ready to actually talk to sales. We have what we call web to lead. Again, that's a form that you can place on your website. And what we've done there is we've allowed you to actually say that in addition to adding the lead and notifying your customer that, or their client, that they have a new lead, we can also have that email address automatically go onto an email list. So you get sort of you get the two parts. You get the lead goes out notifying someone that there's a new lead to talk to. At the same time, that person can be immediately enrolled in the sort of new lead autoresponder that you could help your client set up, which is then going to be programmed to send out 5 or 6 or 7 emails that are going to help push that prospect along. So that's those are the bulk of the features that we've developed. Okay, so let's jump.
So a lot of new stuff in our relaunch here. I'm really excited about this list Chad just covered, and just again, these are things we want you to use and then help your clients use. So we'll help you kind of get them going, and then you can turn around and help push them out to your clients and make money off them.
Okay, so we're in the dashboard now, and what I want to do is actually take everyone through how to use some of these new features. So the first thing, this is a new account or account that hasn't really used email, and I've done some basic setup here, so there's not a lot of stats because they haven't sent many emails. But the first thing we did is we added a little email help scroll down here. So we had some people saying, well, what's the steps to build to actually get a campaign out the door? And we've broken it down into the 4 main steps. You need to set up a from address. You need to basically build list, pick a template, and then actually put them all 3 together and send it out the door. And actually, before I go into this, I actually meant to first take a look at where you set up your Amazon SES information. So here I'm going to actually bounce over to admin really fast. So this is a client of a client that technically lives under the HubShout reseller portal. So I'm just going to go up to their account level and show you the new screen. Okay, there's a new tab here called email, and this one has already been set up, but I can take you to an account that has not been set up. So let me do that really fast, and we'll show you kind of how that works. Okay, so here is the state that you probably find most of your client accounts or your own reseller account sitting in, which is that this particular account does not have um, a linked Amazon SES key and secret key. So we have instructions online here to sort of walk you through the process. Basically, the first thing you need to do is sign up for Amazon Web Services, and they've got their simple 4 steps here. Sign up for their simple email service. They've got some verifying addresses, and then you kind of go through the steps over here. We help you walk through those steps on our own screens, where we have, as you go through the process, we tell you, okay, we now have your secret keys in. Now we need you to do this step, and which is to request production access, and then once production access is requested, we need you to verify your from addresses. So we walk you through those 3 steps, and what we're doing is we've asked the account managers to get on the phone with each of you and help you walk through that step. It's been really easy to set up. I think it's been taking a 10 or 15 minute phone call to get someone through the steps to actually get their SES account set up in the link here. So it's been, again, relatively easy. And once you do it, again, it's 15 minutes up front, but once that's done, you have this account with Amazon, and you are sort of building your own reputation. You start off with 1,000 emails a day that you can send out, but we've seen on our side that Adam, what was it, like we've been probably live with this for 30 days or maybe 3 weeks, and we're up to 10,000. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. So we're 10,000 a day. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of emails a month, and it took us only about a month to get there.
Yeah.
Not doing anything all that drastic, just sending out normal emails, marketing emails to a pretty normal list.
Right. And once you're set up, the way we've built this is that any of your clients underneath your reseller portal will be able to roll up and use your Amazon key. So it's possible that you might just set up one key at your reseller level, and then you can actually use email marketing with any of your clients. Or if you know that you have a certain client who's going to want to do they're doing a lot of email, and you want to have them set up their own key, you can see it's about 15 minutes to set that up. Once it's set up for that client, you're done. In order for you to be able to control which of your clients you're allowing to use your key, since you're the only one, resellers are the only ones who have access to the admin screen, what you can do is on the campaign screen, we've added a new setting for email feature on or off. So again, as a reseller, once you set your key up, if you enable the feature for one of your other clients, they will be able to share your key unless you go in and set up their own dedicated key. So Adam, I'm going to let you judge whether or not that was clear or not, and if it wasn't, I can say it again, or you can try it.
Well, I think the first thing to reiterate is just the big question of, do I need to force my client to get their own key or not? And there's support on that question on our blog as well, in case what Chad and I are saying here isn't perfectly clear. I've written out a whole list of pros and cons on our blog, but it comes down to, in my mind, to 2 issues: volume and reputation management. On the volume front, if your experience is like ours and your quota moves from 1,000 a day to 10,000 a day within the first 30 days of using this product, that means in month 2, your monthly quota is 300,000 emails, which is a fairly large volume for most of the size clients we know you're dealing with and prospects you're dealing with. So I think the volume issue will probably tell you it's okay to ride on your own key, unless you know someone may have a reputation whitelist type problem based on the type of list they have, and that's when you want to opt to force your client to get their own key. Now, what Chad was just showing you is then how you enforce that in the system, and we've tried to make it straightforward with an on-off button on the campaign details screen, but if that's confusing as you move through it, as always, give us a call. Now, Chad, while we were talking, there was a question about the billing and this whole Amazon piece before we move on. The question is this: how does the billing from Amazon work? Do you add that to our monthly bill and we upcharge it, or how does that work?
Right. So when you set up that Amazon Web Services account, you're actually putting in your credit card, or if you're signing up for your client's credit card. So it is actually separate. We are, completely separating ourselves on the, the volume and the quota that you earn and the trust you earn with Amazon to set that daily quota. So you're going to have your own account, and you're basically just plugging in your information, essentially your username and password, your key and secret key, into HubShout, and then that is what we can use when you say, now HubShout, go send my emails. We go look up your key and say, okay, we're going to go send this across your 1,000 emails. We're going to go send that across with this key, and then that's what Amazon says. Okay, yep, that's a valid key and secret key. I will honor this request and send these emails out.
Yeah, another person chimed in chat saying, so how do we get paid from our clients on this service? And I think, as always, we leave the packaging of this to you. We're passing it through at no markup on our end. You can make that decision as well if you want to see this as a value add and just pass it through at a very, very low cost or no cost to keep your client on board. You can bundle it in, or you can turn around and mark it up and say, I have a MailChimp equivalent product here, and I'm going to price that in and change the bill appropriately when you bill your clients. The other question, Chad, that came in while we're talking is, how long does it take to get the Amazon approval after you submit a application?
We've done it, probably 6 times, and it typically is, I think, taking about a day. And it sometimes happens a little faster and sometimes a little slower, but it's about a day. And I assume that means once you, I should make sure to clarify that so everyone understands. When you initially sign up and put in your credit card and sign up for an Amazon Web Services account, that happens effectively immediately, and you're able to get your key and your secret key. So you can continue setting up things in HubShout at that point. The part though, when you're ready to actually start sending emails out to clients, you have to have production access from Amazon, and that part. Once you request it, which again we would just do the same day you sign up for Amazon Web Services, takes about a day at the most. Okay, great. And I do one more thing on the billing side of it. So I assume the question about how do you make money, if you obviously were using your credit card, you make money the same way you make money today, which is that you're marking it up and deciding what the sort of industry value is for sending emails out. Obviously, plus the biggest part in our experience of emails isn't necessarily the sending part. It's coming up with the content, putting together the template, getting everyone to sign off on it, getting the list loaded. That's actually, in our experience, the hard work is just figuring out who you're sending it to and what you're going to send them. The part of actually sending it out is not as hard, but as long as you have a good delivery service, which is why we've gone with Amazon. So I guess the main question would be, if I was using my client's credit card, then again, as Adam said, that's just something you have to kind of work out of. Are you sort of highlighting to your client that you've got this great deal, but what's hard in email is actually creating the content, managing the content, doing it every month. And so I'm just going to have you pay for the send fee, or do you feel like your client's not going to pay as much for the creative side of it, and so you need to sort of make a little money off of, you need to pad the sending side of it to make up for the creative. So up to you, and a lot of people package it different ways. Okay, great. So we're back into the email tab, and we're going to get back to our example account here. Okay, and as I said, I'm rolling down my help just to kind of refresh my memory as to what I need to do. So I need to make sure I've set up a from address. So let's go ahead and do that here. Okay, I have one already set up, which is Chad plus hillandponton@hubshout.com. But I'm going to create a new one just to walk through this process. So I'm going to click New From Address, and I should say what the from address is for. The from address is when you're going to send an email out to a list of people, but when it hits their inbox, it needs to be from somebody. Now, obviously, if I were to right now say, well, I have a great marketing idea, I'll send this from google.com, because I'll say, we're we can help you, and we'll send it from google.com. Well, unless I'm able to actually go over to google.com and get my email at the address I plug in here, I can't, Amazon's going to say, sorry, I'm not going to let you send from that. So the verification process is basically putting in an email address that you have access to or that your client has access to that you want the email to come from. So it could be info, it could be sales, it could be web promotions at whatever domain it is. I'm going to make one up right now, Chad Hill plus webinar at gmail.com. Okay, so I clicked send that, and this is the magic side of this is, did this come through over here? Okay, so I've got my verification report, and I'm basically now going to go over here and say, you know, dear Amazon SES customer, please authorize this. In order to authorize, you just need to click on the link. I will say for everyone, when they're doing this with their clients, my experience, and I've done this with other clients where we need to authorize, you know, for their sales guys, they're going to be the people that we're sending emails from. I always shoot an email out to them first saying, you know, hi, it's Chad, and just want to let you know we're setting up a new email campaign. You're about to get an email from Amazon SES that's going to ask you to verify that we can send an email from your address. Because as you can all imagine, in a world of phishing and a bunch of other bad stuff on the web, hopefully, you know, people would, you know, sort of unadvised, they may delete this email. So make sure you send an email out kind of letting people know that something's coming. And you know, Amazon does not let you plug in a message into this request. You just need to send that out separately. So I'm going to click the link here, and it's going to say, congratulations, you have now, you know, successfully verified that email address. Now if I come back to the dashboard and I reload this screen, you're going to see that that email, chadpluswebinar@gmail.com, is now verified and active. Okay, so if I go back to my my email help here, I just set up my from address. Now I need to go make a list. Okay, so I'm going to make a new email list. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to make a new email list because I want to show you a feature I've got here. So I have an email list that I've created called Email QA, but I'll just show you. I can create a new list here really fast. Let's just call it another test email. And what we can do is, so then that list will be saved. I mean, if we then go back and look at our list screen here, we've got our email QA list that I wanted to go into and talk to you about. So we have, I went ahead and preceded that with 4 email addresses. What I want to do here is actually show you the way that you can add a web to list form to your website. So over here on the right, you can add names to this list in a couple different ways. One, if you click Add Recipients, you can just simply type in a list of people. Or if you had a short list in a CSV format, you could cut and paste it in. We support email, first name, and last name. Email is the only thing that's required. You don't have to have first name and last name. But you can put in a list here. But I'm just going to put in an example right now of I'm going to submit that. And you can see here now that that name is now on the list. Now, that's cool, but it wouldn't be, a lot of us want and hope that we're getting a lot of traffic to our website and that people find what we're talking about compelling enough to want to stay in touch with us. And of course, there's social media today, but there's also good old email and signing up for your monthly newsletter. So we built a little web to form code. So over here on the right-hand side, and this is for this list, so this is for the QA1 list. I'm going to simply type in that I know I'm going to put this on hubshout.com, and so when someone completes the form, I'm just going to actually say it goes on vethubs.com, vethubs.com, and I know that so when someone is on my website and they fill out, let's just bring up vethubs.com real quick. So I'm going to add this to maybe the right-hand side over here, and I'm going to want to say sign up for my newsletter. And when they click, put in their email address and hit go, I want that request is going to come over to your portal, put the new name in your portal, but we need to know where to take them back. And so the return URL is where they're going to go back to. So we're going to just type in budhubs.com over there. And then we're going to click Get Code. And I'm going to highlight the code, and I'm going to copy this. Now, you guys have seen this code before. It's very similar to the one we're using for our web to list. I'll bring up a little window here where I've already pasted the code into, and it's pretty simple. It's some basic formatting in your email, one field which is your email address, and a submit button. We've continued with we have a little bit of something here to prevent automated, blank submissions of a bunch of email addresses. So that's what this little JavaScript does, is just make sure that there's a token, a one-time use token that allows someone on the website to submit, but wouldn't let an automated system start adding hundreds and hundreds of fake submissions to your website. So that's what the script is at the bottom. But let's take a look at what this looks like. Okay, so I just dropped this in. This is not formatted to look beautiful. All of you guys who are in the web design know how to take that little form element and style it and add nice looking buttons and JavaScript validation. This is really just the guts of it. So in this case, though, I want to test adding another email address into this form. So I'm going to submit that. And you'll see that I'm getting redirected back to VetHubs, right? So because that was the URL I put in as my return URL. So let's go back to HubShout now, and let's actually refresh our list. Okay, and you see here that we've got the Chad Hill plus final test at Gmail sitting there as well. Okay, so that's how that process works. So if we go back to our analytics.
Hey Chad, before you leave the screen,
yeah,
I've got an interesting question about lists here that came in while you were talking. I have contacts from about 3 different companies and want to give each one of those lists a try, an initial touch, but I'm worried about the spam and quota impact on my Amazon key. Any suggestions?
That's a great question. I think that I don't have any suggestions necessarily. I mean, I suppose I actually don't know the rules from Amazon about whether or not you can use a different credit card and get a second key. So my first thought is, well, give it a shot. If your reputation, if they basically come back and say we're going to decrease your quota, my first thought is, well, maybe you can open up a second account. I actually don't know how they're trying to. I'm sure there's something they're doing to prevent people from just opening up tons and tons of accounts. But I guess I would give it a shot and then kind of just watch my quota and go slow is what I would probably try.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Chad. I was thinking a second key. I mean, we would really encourage you to, under your core marketing efforts for yourself, maintain a very clean list. I mean, these are people who come to your website and opted in. These are people where you've picked up business cards at networking events. Think back to some of Chad's earlier webinars about how to build up that network through word of mouth and feet on the pavement strategies. You come home with those cards, put those emails into this list. That's going to be a very clean list because these people you've talked to and shook hands with. If you're thinking about really trying to go after what might be a questionable list, you really might want to try to get a second key. So spend a little time on Amazon and read what their policy is, and if you probably need a separate credit card and phone number, but that's probably not too hard to have, so you could segregate them.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my analytics screen, and again, we're sort of working our way through it. So we've done a from address. We now have a list that we feel like we've grown and we've got some people on it. The next thing is the template. So let's go take a look at templates. And you can click on each of those steps and go into it. So this screen, we've added a couple new things. The first one is we have a template library. So if you click template library, what this does is it gives you the templates that we've gone out and bought and plugged into the dashboard here. So we have an assortment of, and I'm just kind of scrolling through here, hopefully slow enough. We have an assortment of ones that have pretty big images that could clearly plug in some product shots or some discount codes. We also have some that are much, we've got these group here called pure text, which are a little bit simpler, and in some ways, they're nice because they're a little easier to work with because you don't have to get the images to look just right and have to pick a lot of images. So everyone again is going to have a slightly different different use, but this is the template library. So I'm going to just grab one of the, just for the heck of it, I'm going to grab let's see here, this one, monochrome left sidebar. And what we're doing now is actually we're in the template library and we're going to save this down to our campaign. So I'm just going to call this monochrome sample for webinar and hit save new template. Okay, and great. So now what we have, if I go back to templates, you'll see here that I now have the one I just created from the template library, and I also have one that I created earlier, which we're going to edit now. But you can see that you're taking them from the library, you're putting them into your account, and then now you can start editing and modifying. And so let's take a look at this webinar test one that I pulled down a little while ago. Okay, so here is the template. I've done a few modifications because I went in and modified the name of the template, but I left a lot of this pretty generic. So what I'm going to do is I have two options. I can basically click editor or HTML code, and HTML code, you've all seen that. It's going to just be a someone who's comfortable with HTML can get in there and edit the thing. But for those of us who really just want to go in and be able to focus on the text and make the tweaks we want to make, let's check out the editor. So what we've done is we've basically each of the sections that's editable, you can click on and change that text. So I'm just going to, for example, and I went in earlier and modified the header information. And I will say one little trick here, and this is the same in MailChimp, is that when you're dealing with white text, it's a little tricky, but that text is there. You just have to kind of know that if you have to highlight white text because the background of the editor is also white. But let's check out some other parts of this that are black. So let's check out this section. So let's just say I wanted to change this to, news story number 2, and I wanted to sit there and edit this and say, there's a great news story that I want to add. Okay, and I can save that, and that's going to run back to our editor here. But let's also take something else a little bit more complicated, and I'm actually going to, for a minute, just go over to our let's see here. Let's actually plug an image in that we have hosted on the web here. Okay. Okay, so I want to add an image after this paragraph. And I'm going to go to my trusty photo bucket website. Excuse me. And I'm just going to search for, what's a good one, Adam Farmer? We've searched for that before, right?
Yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Another good one if you're writing about email marketing. There's lots of great little images that represent email, little SEO guys, little PPC guys. There's plenty of stuff.
Here's a funny one. Just totally for example purposes only. We'll get the farmer see and say. So let's grab the link over here, and we want a sorry, we want the link fully qualified with HTTP in it. And now we're going to go back here, and we're going to click on our little insert an image. We're going to plug the image URL in there. You can of course include other text. Let's see what's going on. Okay, I must have copied that wrong. Let me get the right URL. Let's try that again. Okay, it's obviously pretty big. You might want to resize that before it goes in, but you can see that you can easily drop an image in there. And so let's see here. Should I make that a little smaller? Okay, the place you can all the images that you're actually hosting, you can put onto a website, or again, once you sign up for Amazon, you actually will technically have access to their online storage, which is called S3, and I've used that a little bit to host some other image files. So this one's obviously a little bigger than I would like. So let's see if we can find one. Adam, you said there's a good one on email. So maybe this is a little better.
And a shortcut on this, Chad, you can get the direct code right from that first gallery view, so you don't have to actually wait for it to load.
Yeah, it's just
hovering over the image.
Yeah, it's one of those. Of course, on the webinar, you freeze up on your keystrokes here. So let's get this thing in. Okay, this is going to look a little better. Okay, that looks better. So I'm going to save that, and now I've got my link in there. It looks like I still have a remnant of my other link too, so let me just get rid of that. Yeah, get rid of that one right there. Okay, I can save that. But you can see this is what it's all about. I mean, you're flipping back and forth, but as you flip back and forth, you're getting a real-time view. And for those of you who aren't comfortable with HTML, it's relatively easy here to make these changes. The other thing that's kind of cool is, let's just say that I went in now. Let's just do this. Let's say that in the process of editing that link, or of changing something, I accidentally save this and lose the image that I had. So I just spent that time finding my image, and I just deleted it, and I'm kind of upset. We've actually built a rollback feature. So over here on the right, I can click see my previous images, and you're looking at the current version of them, but I actually want to go back one version. So now there's that version with the email in there, the email graphic in there. So I can either click restore this draft or don't restore. In this case, I do want to restore it, so I'm going to click Restore Draft, and I actually pull that right back up. So, this is now, again, from back to Adam's point of the relaunch, this is significantly easier to use and to be able to sort of bounce around and make your edits than what you were dealing with before with the HTML editor. And just so everyone knows, the way we've been doing our own emails is that we took some time to develop a template, but once we had that template developed, we're pretty much coming in, and everything in the header part, everything in the footer never changes. All we're doing is dropping in and really pretty much going into our own version of we're going into the editor and just coming in here and playing around with with the actual text of each story. And if you wanted to, I mean, technically you could add another story below this and keep rolling right through the whole process. So it's very easy to kind of work with and make those changes.
Chad, a few questions on templates coming in here. The first one is, will we have the opportunity to add our own email templates in and use the easy-to-use editor you're showing us?
Yeah, so you could go to any HTML, you could either have one custom designed, or you could go to, we bought most of these on ThemeForest, so you could go to ThemeForest and look for one that you like better. Really searching anywhere that had MailChimp ready templates is fine. And what really it turns out is that it's not even just MailChimp ready. All you really need is a template with inline CSS, because I'll show you what you need to do to add the MailChimp tags. I'm actually going to go into HTML code. It's very simple, and I'm not the best HTML developer in the world. In fact, I'm not even an HTML developer at all. But I was able to kind of walk through and figure out how to make these changes. So for those of you kind of familiar with the typical table structure in HTML, you can see here that, Adam, what is TD? Is that like a new table? Is that a table definition? Is that what that stands for?
It's essentially a cell in a row. So think of them as cells in a row.
Okay. So you can see here that we have basically a new cell. It's going to have our content, and this would be the content that is now another feature story. So it's this right here is where we are. Okay. And all we're adding is we're adding into that table cell definition a little tag called MC edit. So MC:edit equals, and then just some unique name. So this is paragraph 6. It could be, second feature story, whatever you want it to be. But what that's telling our editor is that this section, to put, to kind of put the marks around this section, and then to make it an editable section that you can click through and edit. So again, you can take any template you have and basically just add these tags into these TD sections you want to be editable, and they're going to show up in our editor as sections that you can click on and go into the WYSIWYG editor. So so the answer is it's very flexible, and in fact some of the templates that we bought weren't technically MailChimp ready, but they did have inline CSS, and all I had to do was go in and just drop in the MC edit, and we were ready to go.
Thanks, Chad. And someone in our audience wanted me to be a little more specific. It's table row and table data, but for those who aren't HTML folks, think of it like a cell in Microsoft Excel. But another question here, Chad, when it comes to writing the newsletters, how careful do we have to be about taking information from other sources? Is it okay if we just give credit, and are we able to do something like that?
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of well beyond where, that's into copyright and various other things that we aren't really the best people to talk about. But I can tell you that, I think there are plenty of email newsletters I get that are essentially the weekly recap of what's gone on across the web, where they may have a little snippet of, Matt Cutts talked about, the following 4 things. Click here to read more. And so they're sort of intro snippets that then link off to the full-length article. I think you have to be careful when you're obviously just completely copying someone else's email, because then you're really into that's really where you can get into trouble. But if you're writing a unique little intro or first paragraph snippet and then linking off, I think that's probably fine. And Adam, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I think what we want to encourage you to do is really be as useful as possible for the person who's receiving that newsletter, because the more on target it is for what they want to hear about, the more engagement you're going to create, the more you're pushing your brand, and you're going to get a phone call. So, I think it's okay to cite other sources, but I wouldn't copy their text verbatim. Maybe a title of something, as long as it's attributed with a link. But I would rewrite it in your own words, because that's the process of you assimilating this information and really making it useful. Chad, another question, sort of related. Will HubShout offer a full newsletter service where you produce the email and write the content and send it out for us?
We already do, so that's a great question. Yeah, we send out, we create on the 15th of the month a newsletter called Search News, and that we have a template that basically private labels that information, and you have the ability to opt any of your accounts and or users, so you can set it at a user level or at an account level. You have the ability campaign level. You have the ability to turn on or off sending out the Search News newsletter. So we have some resellers who that goes out to their current clients, and then they take the content, and again, we are, in this case, giving you full rights to that content, so you can, in fact, copy that content and maybe plug that in and send it out to a prospect list. We, of course, don't know your prospects. If people start using this platform more, we might be able to, we're very open to, if you start plugging in prospects and want us to figure out how to start sending emails out to those prospects, in addition to the autoresponders we already talked about earlier, we would be willing to talk about that, but we're currently not doing that.
And the last question, Chad, probably is a good segue to the screen you're likely headed to next, is how do I schedule an email to send in the future with this product?
Okay, great. So let's go on to the next section then. So let's kind of do a recap of where we are in our help section here. So we have a from list. We have we've selected a list of email addresses to receive the email. We've built our template. Now we're ready to actually put all this together and send it to somebody. So the campaign, creating a campaign, is really the glue that links the list, the from address you're going to send it to, the list you're going to send it to, and then what you're going to send them. So we're going to create a new email campaign right now. Again, we're sort of, if you can look at the help, and we're on section 4 here. So the first one is you need to name the campaign. So let's just call this our webinar test 2 email. And you get to pick the from email addresses. Notice this is a drop down now. It used to be a blank field. You could put any email you wanted in there, but now you can only pick one of the from email addresses that you verified. So I'm going to click the upshot one. My type, you can either pick autoresponder or newsletter. So autoresponder is, of course, one that is keyed to when the person was added to the list. So if you pick an autoresponder and you then set this email to go on day 3, it's the 3rd day after the person was added to the list. And then newsletter is just basically anyone who's on the list. So if that, hopefully that makes sense. So if you get a list of 10 people and you sent a newsletter campaign to them, all 10 of those people would get the email. If you had a list of 10 people and you sent an autoresponder campaign for day 3, let's just say that all those people had been previously added more than 3 days ago. The 10 people had been added a week ago. You set it for day 3, and then you added the 11th person. The first 10 were added more than 3 days ago, but the 11th person, the 3rd day after they have been added to the list, is going to get the autoresponder for day 3. So again, that's the difference between a newsletter and an autoresponder campaign type. So if you do pick an autoresponder, one other field is important to select, which is the send day. So I want to send it on the 3rd day after they've been added, or I want to send it on all the way up to, I think we're up to 365 days out. So you could build a 1-year autoresponder program here. You pick the list you want to send it to, and you also pick the template that you want to send. So we created our webinar test template. You get that there. And program we're not going to cover, but this is related to my customer review. So we've done some other webinars on that, and we can talk about it at a later one, but that's what program is for. And you pick send date. Now, if you go back here and you actually change this from autoresponder to newsletter, the send date is not required because these are all configured to go out immediately. Okay. So let's pick this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to submit this. Okay, now the campaign has not been sent. It's actually, status is draft, so you could kind of come back to this and play with it. But if you now wanted to activate it and send it, you would change the status to active. And then once it's in active status, you see a little button over on the right here that pops up saying that this is now going to send out to 6 emails. And once you click send, it can't be retrieved. So now I can click send email, send now. And away those emails went. So that's the process. So in terms of scheduling, you can schedule the autoresponder to go out, and the newsletter campaigns go out the minute you hit the send button. So that's, I think, the one final part, which I'm not sure we'll get the email back through here right yet, but the other final part is inside the email that goes out. There is a link now to unsubscribe, so if you click on that link, you'll be taken to our unsubscribe form. And
while we wait for that, Chad, here's a question or two for you.
Okay.
One is, I've recently just set up a MailChimp campaign for one of my clients. Can I merge that into my dashboard, and how do I do that? I'll take a swing at it, and then you can respond. I guess my first response, chuckling a little bit as well, we built this with the idea that you would stop using MailChimp, because now you have, we think about 80% of the functionality and probably closer to 95% of what most smaller businesses need right in your own private label portal. So my first response is move them into your portal, move that campaign over, because why not have that client, rather than logging into MailChimp and checking things, why not have them logging into your portal, seeing your brand, just being more tightly integrated with your services to reinforce your relationship. The second one here, Chad, it's an interesting question, is can you talk about the relative effectiveness of this kind of nurture email program versus cold calling for a developing business?
Well, I think they are connected. I think the cold calling is perhaps the way that you get an initial name, and then the power of the nurturing program through an autoresponder is that you can drip out new content that might help the cold call kind of relationship go by. So I think that, in a perfect world, you would cold call, find somebody that was, at least was willing to talk to you for a few minutes, but maybe was still pretty cold and not too close to making a decision, and then get their email address, plug it into your autoresponder campaign, and keep going to the next list. Meanwhile, while you're working on as the 2 or 3 days between your calls, or the next day, I don't know how you would do your cold calling, but you have sort of your wingman, if you will, that's the autoresponder, who's hitting your client with some interesting data as you're out there making your cold calls. So really, I think it just amplifies the effectiveness of one person, because now you've got the system helping you out, and that's going to be a lot more powerful than you can do by yourself alone, just on the phone all day long. Adam, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's right on, Chad. And it pretty much takes us to the top of the hour. So
yeah,
good response.
Great. Okay, well, I appreciate everyone coming today and listening to the new what we've built here on the email service area. I think I know all of the account managers will be giving everyone a call to help them with any questions they have, and then to get them set up with their SES account. We, like I said, are making the offer to help you set up 10 autoresponders for your own prospects, just because, as Adam said, this is really one of those things where you're going to look a lot smarter and more effective if the person you're calling sees that you're actually using the tactics you're talking about. So the more you're using all the things you're selling, the more likely that person is going to say, like, you know what, this person really has their stuff together and they get it. Let me move forward with them, versus this person is using all the old tactics that I don't want to use, which, I'm not saying cold calling is that, but a lot of people are looking for things besides cold calling. So this is a great way to sort of be using some of the more current inbound marketing tactics, and we hope all of you take us up on our offer, talk to your account manager, get this set up, and please let us know if you have any questions. So thank you very much for your time, and we will talk to you in a couple weeks.
Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming.